Welcome to your deep dive. Today we're diving deep into this new Chinese AI, Deepseek. It's been all over the news lately. And, shaking things up in the tech world. You've sent us some really interesting articles and transcripts. So we're going to explore what makes Deepseek so different and why it's causing such a stir. And what it might mean for the future.
Yeah. It's really fascinating to see how DeepSeek has just shifted the whole conversation around AI
It
development.
really has.
It's not just the technology, but global competition and how different countries are approaching AI.
Absolutely. So to get started, can you give us a quick rundown of what DeepSeek is and why everybody's making such a fuss about it?
Sure. So DeepSeek is this AI model. It's developed by a Chinese company, also called DeepSeek. They launched their R1 model on January 20th of this year, and it just immediately grabbed everyone's attention.
I mean, that was just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. It's just been incredible how fast it's taken off.
Yeah.
And what's really remarkable is that Deepseek R1 can handle a whole bunch of different tasks.
Oh, yeah.
From, language reasoning, math problems to, even coding and even creating animations.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild range of skills. Is there anything that makes DeepSeek's approach to these tasks, unique
Yeah.
compared to, other AIs out there?
Yeah, well, one of the big things that sets DeepSeek apart is its use of this thing called chain of thought reasoning. It's basically designed to break down problems step by step, kind of like how you or I would solve a problem, on a whiteboard.
Okay.
And this makes it easier for people to actually understand how DeepSeek is arriving at its answers.
So it's transparent in a way.
Exactly, which is really important in terms of building trust in AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Making sure people actually understand what's going on.
Yeah, because it can feel like a black box otherwise.
Right, exactly.
So speaking of transparency, this open source thing with DeepSeek
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
has been generating a lot of buzz.
Right.
Can you explain what that means and why it's such a big deal?
Okay. Think of it this way. Okay. Most commercial software is kind of like a car with a hood you can't open.
Right.
You can drive it, but you don't know how the engine works. Open source software is like a car where the hood's wide open. You can see all the parts and how they work together. Anyone can use it, modify it, even distribute it for free.
So with DeepSeek, you can see under the hood, tinker with the engine. You can even build your own version of the car,
Excellent.
so to speak. That seems like it would have pretty major implications for how AI is developed and used.
Oh, absolutely. It's a total departure from, the closed source approach of a lot of companies in the West. Open source has allowed it to spread like wildfire. Some users are even running it on their own laptops just locally.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of spreading quickly, DeepSeek has also been in the news because of it's surprisingly low development costs.
Right. Yeah, that's right. It's kind of unbelievable. Deepseek R1 was reportedly developed for less than $5.6 million.
That's it.
Which is it's mind-blowing when you compare it to, the hundreds of millions or even billions that some U.S. companies are spending.
It's like they built a spaceship for the price of a used car.
Yeah. It's really making people rethink the economics of AI development.
So what's their secret? How they managed to achieve such impressive results on such a tiny budget?
Well, it seems like their efficiency comes from this laser focus on just really clever engineering. They've managed to optimize their algorithms and models to achieve high performance, but with fewer parameters.
Parameters.
Yeah. Parameters are basically the variables that the AI uses to learn and make decisions.
Gotcha.
And because they've, streamlined that, DeepSeek can run on less powerful hardware.
Yeah.
And it uses less energy, which also helps keep the costs down.
So they're not just doing more with less, they're doing it in a fundamental different way.
Yeah, they're really shaking things up.
This efficient design must have sent some shockwaves through the hardware industry, particularly for companies like NVIDIA, who specialize in, those super high-end AI chips.
Oh, absolutely. DeepSeek's low reliance on these expensive chips actually contributed to a pretty noticeable drop in NVIDIA's stock price.
Really?
Yeah. And it's signaling a potential shift in the chip market as AI development moves towards more efficient models.
That's a big deal. It sounds like DeepSeek is disrupting not just the software side of AI, but the whole hardware ecosystem. But of course, with any technology coming out of China, there are, these concerns about data privacy and potential censorship, especially in Western countries.
Yeah, that's a really important point to consider. While DeepSeek's open source nature does help with transparency, there are definitely still questions about how user data might be handled and whether technology could be subject to, like, restrictions or censorship in certain parts of the world.
Right. It's a tricky situation with no easy answers. You've got this incredibly powerful and accessible AI tool. But, on the flip side, there are these valid concerns about where all that data is going and how it might be used. We've been talking about all the amazing things DeepSeek can do and how it might change the future of work.
But, I'm also thinking about the potential risks of AI, especially as it gets, more powerful and more people are using it.
Right.
Are there any concerns that you think are really important to address?
Yeah, you're right to bring that up. I mean, there's a ton of excitement around AI, but it's crucial to think about the downsides too. One of the biggest worries with any powerful technology is that it could be misused.
When you say misuse in terms of AI, what do you mean? Can you give us some, like, concrete examples?
Sure. Well, imagine like someone using AI to create these incredibly realistic deepfakes just to spread, misinformation or manipulate public opinion.
Okay.
Or even worse, think about AI being used in autonomous weapons systems.
Where it's making decisions about using lethal force without any human intervention.
Those are some scary thoughts. It sounds like, something out of a sci-fi movie.
Hmm.
Are those like realistic concerns or are we getting ahead of ourselves here?
I mean, yeah, some of those scenarios might seem a little far-fetched, but the technology is advancing so quickly that it's really important to address these concerns now, before it's too late. We need to really think about the consequences and put safeguards in place to prevent AI from being used for harmful purposes.
So what can we actually do to reduce those risks? Are there any like rules or guidelines right now to make sure AI is developed and used responsibly?
That's the big question, isn't it? And there's no easy answer. Different countries and organizations are trying different things.
Yeah.
Some people want stricter regulations on, how AI is developed and used, while others think that open source approaches like DeepSeek actually make things more transparent and accountable.
Okay, how would open source make AI development more transparent and accountable? Wouldn't that also make it easier for, bad actors to get their hands on the technology and use it for, bad stuff?
That's a fair point. But the argument is that by making the code open and accessible, you're basically having more eyes on it. That means if there are security flaws or potential biases in the system, they can be spotted and fixed more quickly by a whole community of developers and researchers.
So it's kind of like a checks and balances system for AI development.
Exactly. The idea is that by opening up the development process and making it more collaborative, you reduce the risk of any one entity controlling the AI, and you increase the chances of catching problems early on.
That makes sense. I guess a lot of this boils down to trust, right? Trust in the technology itself and trust in the people who are building and using it.
Hmm.
But trust is hard, especially when we're talking about something as powerful as AI.
Absolutely. Building trust in AI is essential. And it's not just about technical solutions. We need open and honest conversations about the benefits and the risks. And we need a commitment to developing AI that aligns with, human values and ethical principles.
Speaking of ethics, how do we even define what those are when it comes to AI? I mean, we humans haven't even figured out a universal set of ethics for ourselves.
You're telling me. It's one of the toughest challenges in AI development, for sure. How do you translate these complex human ideas like morality, fairness, compassion? How do you translate that into a language that machines can understand and act on?
Yeah.
It's a question that's keeping ethicists, philosophers, and computer scientists up at night.
It's like we're trying to teach a machine about the meaning of life. I mean, can we even do that?
It's a tall order, but it's not impossible. There are people working on developing ethical frameworks and guidelines for AI that take into account human values and, what's acceptable in society.
So it's not just about the technology itself. It's about the values and intentions of the people creating and using it.
Exactly. AI is not just about algorithms and processing power. It's about human values, how society works, and our vision for the future.
This all feels like really serious and important. Like we're at a crossroads. And the choices we make now will have huge consequences for, like, generations to come.
There's definitely a sense of urgency, and while the risks are real, there's also incredible potential for good.
But let's talk about that potential then. We've touched on how AI can make things more efficient, but what are some other ways it could actually make our lives better?
The possibilities are mind-blowing. AI could revolutionize healthcare, education, transportation. Think about personalized medicine tailored to your specific genes or AI tutors that adapt to your learning style, or even self-driving cars that prevent accidents and make transportation easier for everyone.
Wow. It sounds like AI could help us solve some of the biggest problems in the world.
It absolutely has the potential. But we have to remember that AI is a tool. Like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. The outcome really depends on the choices we make as a society.
So it's not just about building the tech, but making sure it's used to benefit humanity.
Exactly. We need to be aware of how AI could impact every part of our lives.
Hmm.
The economy, the way we work, our relationships with each other, even our sense of self.
A lot of people worry that AI will, like, become smarter than humans and, get out of control. Is that a real possibility? Or is it just, like, Hollywood stuff?
That's the classic AI apocalypse scenario, right? And a lot of experts take it pretty seriously. This idea of artificial general intelligence, or AGI, where AI reaches human-level intelligence or surpasses it, is something people are really debating.
Is it just a theory? Or is it something that could actually happen in our lifetime?
It's hard to say for sure when or if AGI will happen, but AI is developing so fast that we can't just ignore it. It's important to talk about what could happen if we create super intelligent AI and figure out how to manage the risks while also taking advantage of the potential benefits.
It's both exciting and kind of terrifying to think about. So,
Yeah.
like, what could happen if we're not the smartest beings on the planet anymore?
Now we're getting into that's a really interesting question. AI is not just a tool, it's also kind of a mirror, you know? Reflecting our values, our beliefs, even our dreams. As AI becomes more and more a part of our lives, it's definitely shaping our art, our music, even the way we communicate.
Can you give me, like, some specific examples? I'm especially fascinated by, how AI might be changing how we think about creativity and art.
Well, think about the whole AI-generated art scene. We're seeing algorithms create paintings, compose music, write poetry. That's almost as good as what humans can do.
It's crazy.
And it makes you wonder, what does it even mean to be creative? If a machine can make something beautiful, is that still art? And what happens to human artists when machines can create amazing things so easily?
It's like AI is forcing us to rethink what creativity even means.
Mm.
Is it a threat to artists? Or could it actually be like a new opportunity to explore different ways of expressing ourselves?
I think it's a bit of both. There's a real worry that AI could make human creativity seem less valuable or make it harder for artists to make a living. But AI can also be a powerful tool for collaboration and inspiration. Imagine artists using AI to come up with new ideas, try out different styles, even create totally new forms of art that wouldn't exist without machines.
It's like AI could spark a whole new artistic revolution, blending human and machine creativity in ways we can't even imagine yet.
But AI isn't just changing art, right? It's changing how we consume and interact with information, too.
Oh, absolutely. Think about how AI algorithms are curating our news feeds and social media. They're designed to show us things we'll like, which can lead to these echo chambers where we're only exposed to information that reinforces our existing beliefs.
That's kind of scary. It's like we're losing control over what we see and hear. It's definitely something to be aware of. I think the first step is just realizing how these algorithms work and how they might be shaping our thoughts. We also need to be more proactive about seeking out different perspectives and challenging our own biases. It's not about rejecting technology, but about using it in a way that helps us become more informed and critical thinkers.
Like, we need to develop a whole new set of skills for navigating this crazy online world.
Exactly. We need to question what we see online, double-check information, and be open to different points of view. And we need to hold the companies that create these algorithms accountable for how they're being used.
It's not just about the tech, but who's controlling it. Which brings me to another thing I've been thinking about. How AI might affect our relationships with each other.
That's a really interesting point. As AI gets better at simulating human conversation, it really makes you think about what makes a relationship authentic. What is intimacy? What is connection? Will we start forming close bonds with AI companions? And if we do, what does that mean for our human relationships?
It's a little unsettling to think about. I mean, we're already so attached to our phones and social media. Are we headed towards a future where we'd rather hang out with machines than with other people?
It's a valid concern, and it's something science fiction has been exploring for ages. But I don't think it has to be one or the other. AI can also be a tool for strengthening human connection. Imagine using AI for language translation to talk to people from all over the world, or AI-powered platforms that connect us with people who share our passions.
So it's not about replacing human relationships, but about using AI to make them even better.
Exactly. The goal is to use AI to create a more connected, compassionate, and fulfilling world, where technology helps us achieve our goals and live better lives. But to do that, we need to think carefully about how we design and use AI, and we need to keep talking about the ethical and social implications of this incredible technology.
This has been a truly mind-blowing deep dive. We've explored the incredible potential of AI and all the challenges that come with it. What would you say is the most important takeaway for our listeners?
I think the key is to remember that the future of AI is not set in stone. We're building it right now, through our choices, our actions, and our conversations. So let's be thoughtful, let's be involved, and let's work together to create a future where AI helps us build a better world for everyone.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of AI.